So folks, two other quick details that I can show you, because I don't always catch the chimney in the middle of the installation. And a lot of times I'm fabricating the metal on the chimney, which causes me to forget to get a video of it. But today we are exactly where I want to show you, because you guys hear me talk about a combination of ice and water. Now, if you remember, before the shingles were on here, this ice and water barrier that you see, this asphalt product, right, was wrapped all around the base of this chimney and then up that wall. So when you hear me say that we use a combination of step flashing, ice and water, silicone, that's how it works. The ice and water goes on and we put a barrier of silicone, right? And then you see this step flashing, how it overlaps. This piece is tucked under this piece. So this piece is overlapping that one. So water disperses downward. No way for water to work its way back up the metal, right? Disperses downward, and therefore the step flashing will provide a thin metal barrier, right? So when you do it that way and you have the chimney stripped down to the roof deck, right? And you have the roof deck bare, you have the opportunity to line the entire chimney with ice and water barrier, silicone, and then thin metal step flashing. And the final thing that we will put on is the apron. So we'll take thin metal trim coil, right? And we'll put it in this brake to be able to cut and bend it. And then what you see here are the inner components, right? This is how it's supposed to look, properly dressed. The final thing is the outer component, which is just the skirt that wraps it all in neatly and finishes it so it looks correctly, aesthetically. And I'll show you something else. I made the comment about spraying the pipes. I already have all of these comments about it dripping, about different paints that don't perform. Again, all of the paints in the comments, we've used all of those paints. That's why we're telling you to use Burr, right? And another thing, when it comes to dripping, when you have metallic that's been weathered, right? You need to get a prepare sponge, 80 grade. You don't want a coarse sponge that's for removing paint, right? Because you're not doing that. It was already weathered. What you're doing is you're preparing it for paint. And if you do not sand out those rust spots, look at all the rust on that sponge, right? You will not have a flat surface to paint. Now, the only reason that you see any glare on this pole is because it's half wet and half drying. But I want you to notice, look how even that coat of paint goes on, right? We sprayed this with an entire can. We don't have a single drip. You guys are dripping and making the pipes. See comments, the pipes look worse when I paint them than they did before we started. You need to prep that metallic. You need a prepare sponge with 80 grade sandpaper on it to prepare that surface for paint. If you get the entire surface of that pipe, you know, sand it down with the 80 grade prepare block, you will not have any streaking, you will not have any drips, and you will not have any places where the paint disperses and is not, you know, taking to the pole evenly. So you make a nice even surface. You have to prep it. It took about 25 minutes to sand this whole pipe, and then it took about another 10 minutes to spray. When this is completely dry, it's going to look like a factory finished product that came to us, you know, painted brown, factory painted brown, when in fact it's the same old chimney stack that was on the roof. It's just been given a makeover.